clear he hasn't read them.
So here, alternative hypothesis is making a very simple case that Kraut's video is filled with useless sources. And it's true. And sources that doesn't say what Kraut is.
Here he is just lying.
So, just one
This is a big fat lie.
He quotes the PAX 3 and PAX 7 study, which is about adult muscle progenitor cells. At no point does this study state that molecular genetic studies are a superior way to identify heritability.
What?
He just shows an example of this.
It's not the point of the study.
And
it's
then
not the point of the study. I make the case in the video that we know for a fact which genes are... I think I gave the PAX example as an example for when I explained how muscles are related,
yeah.
Muscle growth is related. So he completely misinterprets it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
States that molecular genetics is required to demonstrate heritability of traits, which isn't true. And it's not what the study says. So when alternative hypothesis comes in and he says, you clearly haven't read them, or maybe you read them, Kraut, but you're lying about them. But there's not a single one study of everything you've quoted that states that molecular genetics is required to demonstrate heritability. So alternative hypothesis critique is very well placed here. Now,
and people take this guy seriously.
We're gonna have a discourse about references. That is probably the most useless thing ever said on YouTube from Sandre. Let's hear it.
Let's delve into some responses by the alt-right.
Jesus, you can't even...
These sources for. It's
Properly
clear he
edit.
hasn't read them.
Well, these sources are for people like me.
Oh, people like you in your suit with your fire instead of a head.
Academics to look at the works of other people.
The problem is that's not alternative hypothesis point. He did not ask you what are references for. He said, why are you using
Actually,
them that way?
alternative hypothesis is asking just
why are
that.
you just dropping random references that talk about muscles, molecular genetics of muscle, that don't make your point at all?
Because we gave the
It's a
example
very
of
valid
muscle,
critique.
you
And in
fucking...
academia, by the way, if you were to start doing this,
But
you wouldn't get through PhD.
Let's ask everyone else here if I did wrong with this. In the video that he's responding to, in the video, and one of the other videos, the one prior to that one, I gave the example of specific genes, SNPs, that influence muscle growth. And in order to show that this is correct, I think I provided links to 4 studies that identified SNPs that are responsible for muscle growth. And that's the reason why I put them in there. Was I wrong in putting that in there?
Let's see now, Aragon?
No, I don't think so.
Invite is, by the way, in general. Doge.
The alternative hypothesis point. And what he's gonna say here is responding to the autistic interpretation of alternative hypothesis. It's as if we were jumping off a plane with parachutes, and while we are going down the plane, you give me a pencil. And I ask you, why are you giving me a pencil? And you answer, well, pencil are used to write stuff on a piece of paper. You should know that pencils are very useful to write on a piece of paper, you idiot. See, Sandre, you missed the context here. I'm not asking you what a pencil is for. I'm asking you, why are you giving me a fucking pencil while we're jumping off a plane?
Are we jumping off a plane?
No, we are making a video about a scientific topic and scientific claims, and we are offering citations.
Yeah, we're jumping off a plane.
This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong here.
Okay, play.
Yeah.
He so far showed us one paper I quoted and said, this is muscle. This is muscle.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and in a segment of my video, I talk about muscles.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's not even. It's like in the context, it's perfectly valid, and the purpose of the paper is not to show anything about molecular genetics anyway. You know, it's not the purpose of the fucking paper.
You try explaining that to French frog.
It's like looking at a paper on the tilt of Mars, you know, a physics paper, and then complain, oh, this doesn't mention anything about, you know, molecular genetics. Well, it's not the point.
Let's continue.